Time now for the morning press review with Leo McGuinn. And Leo, you're starting in the UK with the news that Prime Minister Keir Starmer has decided to cut his country's foreign aid budget while increasing defence spending. How has this been covered in the British dailies?
I'll start with the tabloids. The Mirror have a quote from Prime Minister Keir Starmer on their front page. "We can't hide from Putin's threat," the PM saying that his decision was accelerated by the war in Russia. Starmer's vowed to spend 2.5% of GDP on defence by 2027, going up to 3% by 2030. The government will fund this by cutting aid spending from 0.5% of GDP to 0.3% from 2027 onwards. This decision, of course, comes just 2 days before Starmer visits Washington to hold talks with Donald Trump. And the Independent front page accuses the British Prime Minister of bowing to Trump pressure, with the White House pressuring NATO allies to increase their defence costs. The Guardian also have the PM on their front page this morning, the headline referencing Starmer's quote that Britain would fight for peace. The paper also focuses on the backlash from some quarters, with some experts calling the cuts cruel and shameful. David Miliband, head of the International Rescue Committee, has estimated that the aid cut will amount to about £6 billion and called it a blow to Britain's proud reputation as a global humanitarian leader. The Telegraph described the decision as an embarrassment for Foreign Secretary David Lammy just 2 weeks ago, who was pretty clear when asked about cutting foreign aid, saying it would be a strategic mistake. Now the Telegraph say that he's been forced into accepting the cuts by Starmer. It's made even more embarrassing by the fact that Lammy just 2 weeks ago criticised Boris Johnson for the way he reduced the aid budget during COVID.
And also on the front pages this Wednesday, a special report and new revelations about the horrors of the Assad-era prisons in Syria.
This on the front page of French newspaper Libération this morning, reporting on new details that we can see because the regime has not managed to burn all the evidence. They have this two-page spread this morning. The Daily was able to obtain access to more than 8,000 documents abandoned in 14 prisons and intelligence service branches across Syria. Among the documents that littered the floor of the abandoned buildings, lists of collaborators, telephone taps and orders for torture. Here's an example of one of the countless forced confessions obtained by regime's torture methods. I, the undersigned Mohammed K, declared that I electrocuted myself by touching the electric wire of a water heater. Other piles of files list the suspicious activities of hundreds of residents, including an investigation that has been opened against someone for practicing yoga. The task ahead for the Syrian judiciary is daunting, given the scale of a system that has hunted down and imprisoned thousands of opponents for decades, a system that Libération calls a bureaucracy of death. The newspaper also tells us this startling statistic. According to a 2011 report, 1 in 158 Syrians were informants. That's nearly 70,000 people.
And the next story is sure to be a delight for stargazers who are in for a treat.
This is in the New York Times. This incredible news that this week, the 7 planets in the solar system will be aligned, most of them visible to the naked eye. It's being called a planet parade, and it's the only time that it will happen this decade, and the only time actually until 2040. Here's an image that was posted by famous astronaut Chris Hadfield online, showing just how that alignment will look. And here's the best way to see the planets, according to The Independent. Find a dark place with a clear view of the western horizon at nightfall. It's recommended to choose a location with minimal light pollution and clear skies. Mercury and Saturn will be low in the sky, brushing past each other in the fading glow of the evening sun, which will make the pair difficult to spot. Trace that line of sight, and then you can see Venus, which, according to astronomers, will actually be impossible to miss. Even higher up, almost directly above, will be Jupiter. The string of planets ends with Mars, easy to spot because of its pinkish tone. Uranus and Neptune, too far away to see with the naked eye. You'll have to crack out your telescope for them. But as one astronomer puts it, it's a perfect opportunity to go outside with a glass of wine and enjoy the night sky. Very wise words.
So many galacticals, it's like watching Real Madrid. Leo, you're going to finish in the US, where train heists are making a comeback.
It's like something out of a Western. Oliver, as you can see by this Los Angeles Times headline, train robbers are targeting Nike trainers. Over $2 million worth, in fact. This is taking place in the remote areas of the Mojave Desert in California and Arizona. Since last March, at least 10 robberies have targeted freight trains. The thieves discreetly board the trains and sabotage the brakes to force them to a halt. The goods are then thrown off the trains, where modern-day cowboys in cars rather than on horseback recover them and sell them on Amazon and eBay. One of the biggest heists took place just last month in Arizona, where nearly 2,000 shoes were stolen, many of them with the much-coveted Nigel, Sylvester and Air Jordan 4s, not due to be released until March. They're actually worth $225 a piece. The police have managed to track down and arrest 11 people in that particular heist. They were caught with the help of tracking devices that were inside some of the boxes. Luckily, it didn't end in a shootout. It's like a modern-day version of Ronnie Biggs and the Great Train Robbery, isn't it?
Yes, that was a heartwarming story indeed.